Let me ask about the, I'll call just religious discrimination claim to reach both the Equal Protection and Establishment Clause claims. And I'm not entirely persuaded by the argument, if only because the 7 countries encompass only I think a relatively small percentage of Muslims. I mean, do you have any information as to what percentage or what proportion of the adherents to Islam worldwide are citizens or residents of those countries? My quick penciling suggests it's something less than 15%.
I have not done that math, Your Honor, but to be clear...
And given that all those countries are countries that have been previously tagged as subjects of concern about terrorism, granted, it's because of perhaps radical Islam sects, so there might be a religious motivation behind the terrorism, but I have trouble understanding why we're supposed to infer religious animus when, in fact, the vast majority of Muslims would not be affected as residents of those nations, and where the concern for terrorism with those connected with radical Islamic sects is kind of hard to deny. Point me to any situation where the proportion affected were less than 15%.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I haven't thought about. As I said, I had not done that math before the argument. I have not thought about the case in those terms because.
Well, let me switch to the other part of it. I mean, do you deny that in fact there is concern about people coming from those countries, separate and apart from what their religion might be, because as Congress and the previous administration have concluded, those countries are a concern from a terrorist perspective? That decision by the previous administration and by Congress was religiously motivated?
No, Your Honor. No, we are not asserting that at all.
It would be possible to identify these countries as a source of concern and possibly as the subject of special treatment without having religious motivation or discriminatory intent behind it. Well, there have been presidential orders in the past by prior presidents that treated people based on their nation. Why shouldn't that suggest to us that the statute should be harmonized in a way other than the one that you're advocating?
All of those orders have been narrower, significantly narrower than the one here, and included.
The same, though. I mean, if you single out Cubans because they're from Cuba, that's doing it by a class based on nationality, and I haven't heard any citation or reference to a legal challenge to that, or an argument that, I think that one was President Reagan's, that what he did wasn't appropriate. There were others that singled out individual countries. Hadn't been a challenge to that. Why should we decide that Congress, in enacting 1152, since that's the number I've been using, meant to amend or partially repeal 1182?
Well, 1182.
But the problem is the same. Can you treat people based on the nation they come from? And foreign policy or foreign affairs do all the time. We treat people from North Korea differently than we treat people from France. So I have trouble understanding your interpretation of 1152 as prohibiting what seems to be commonplace in foreign affairs.